Mr. and Mrs. Twininboa once basked in the glow of success. Their business thrived, and they built grand estates both in the USA and their homeland. They seemed untouchable, destined for perpetual prosperity. Yet, fate had other plans. Their supermarket business began to falter, and in a desperate bid to save their fortune, Mr. Twininboa took a risky loan to start a new venture. Unfortunately, his new company was plagued by fraud, and they lost everything. As debt collectors closed in, Mr. and Mrs. Twininboa found themselves in court, ordered to repay their loans in installments. The pressure was unbearable, and they needed a lifeline. They turned to Mr. Quinson, a man known for his generosity. Mr. Quinson listened to their plight and promised help, but with one shocking condition: he would lend them the money if Mr. Twininboa allowed him to spend the night with Mrs. Twininboa. Desperate, Mr. Twininboa agreed, shattering his wife's heart. She refused, fearing her husband would use her to resolve his debt and then blame or mistreat her for unfaithfulness. But Mrs. Twininboa refused to give up. She approached Mr. Quinson alone, seeking another way. To her surprise, Mr. Quinson revealed his true intentions. He had been testing her husband's loyalty. When Mr. Twininboa failed, Mr. Quinson offered his support to Mrs. Twininboa instead. With Mr. Quinson's backing, Mrs. Twininboa revitalized her business, adding new delivery options and boosting revenue. Meanwhile, Mr. Twininboa, burdened by debt, withdrew from the family business and took up a job to repay the loan sharks. His earlier selfish proposition left him unable to question the source of his wife's newfound financing, a secret Mrs. Quinson kept. The strain on their marriage grew unbearable. Mrs. Twininboa, now disenchanted with her husband, considered a relationship with Mr. Quinson. She faced a difficult decision: how to protect her business and properties as she prepared for a divorce, with 3 children to consider. If you were in Mrs. Twininboa's shoes, what would you do?